Come on back in, family. Come on back in. Shalom, shalom. What's good? What's good, family? What's good? I apologize. Had some technical difficulties. For sure. Had some technical difficulties. Still not sure what's happening. I'm kind of working around some technical difficulties because I want to give you brothers and sisters this interview. Still a couple hours before the Super Bowl starts, right? They said 7 o'clock start time. So I wanted to give you brothers and sisters this interview because some of y'all been asking me for it. So I had some technical difficulties. I said I would try one more time. Still actually having them. So I'm kind of doing a little bit of a workaround. See y'all coming back in slowly. So as you brothers and sisters come back in the house, hit the like button. Hit the like button. Share the video. There was people coming in. People were joining in. And unfortunately, the live just froze on me. And I don't know. I still don't know why. I think it's actually my computer. To be 100% honest with you, brothers and sisters, it's my computer. And my computer is still acting up, so I'm doing it off another computer. Right? Yeah, we back, Lawyer Kahan. I need for y'all to share this video, though. Share it on social media. I'm going to share it as well. I'm trying to give a couple of people a few minutes to get back up in here before I actually start playing the video again, because a lot of people wanted to see this video. And I had a couple of links out there, so it might be a little confusing to people. So, not sure what's going on. How do I sound, family? If everything sounds good, hit 1 on the chat. I'm not doing it off my computer, so I just want to make sure of what's happening. Is everything sounding good? If everything is sounding good, hit 1 in the chat. Let me know everything is sounding good, so I know, at least on this end, with this computer, everything is good. Okay, so Sarai Malachi from the House of Judah said, yes, everything is good. Roger Parham, shalom to you as well. I know people are watching on Facebook. I see a Facebook comment, shalom to you. Deacon Aisha Yar, I see you, shalom to you as well. It's interesting, man. Today, everything is acting up. My cell phone is acting funny. My computer is acting funny. So I can't really see what's going on 100%. All right. Carlos Clark, shalom to you as well. I'm going to go ahead and reboot my phone. Once again, as I said before, as you brothers and sisters come in the house, hit the like button. That'll bring more people in. When they see that we're live, they'll be able to come in as well. That's the way the algorithm works. The more likes that we have, the more comments and interaction that we have, is the more people that see that we're live, and they'll be able to come and join in the conversation. People are confused because I have about 3 or 4 different links out there, and I can't really go back to Facebook to take them all down. So hopefully the people that are clicking on the links over there will eventually see that we're back live again. We'll give it one more shot. All right. So just bear with me for another moment. I'm rebooting my phone. Once my phone is rebooted, then I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation again. I'm not going to wait for everybody to come back. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and start the presentation again. I just want to be able to make sure that everything is working on my end. So I'm going to do it up from my phone. All right. 1 second. Hopefully everybody's doing good. Well, hopefully where you are, it's not snowing. Where I am, it's snowing. Straight up path. Shalom to you as well. Okay, let's see what we have here. Okay, I'm rebooted on my phone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm not going to give y'all the whole speech I gave y'all before. I'm going to get and share my screen, and hopefully everything is working good. Mika, shalom to you. You need to come on home, Mika. Come on home, man. Get up in Israel, man. Stop straddling the fence and come on home, sis. Dig. All right, let's go.
don't know what that dream is that you have. I don't care how disappointing it might have been as you've been working toward that dream. That dream that you're holding in your mind, that it's possible.
Is it because I see things differently, picture things vividly, bring it all to life through the words of my ministry. In high-depth imagery, I put it more simply. Show myself approved since I read the book of Timothy. Then I got my study on, I had an epiphany. Israel isn't chosen, some accuse us of bigotry. But I'm not ashamed, though they charge me of arrogance. The things that I say are far-fetched to Americans. Yahweh on high, I ask you in reverence. Please give us the heathen as our inheritance. Psalms 2 and 8, cause the payback is overdue. Words of the psalmist now are hip-hop foldable. Lies that they told you, poison like a cobra bite. Keep God's laws and erase us up overnight. Read the scriptures daily, stay away from lust and greed. You can move them out with the face of a mustard seed. All things are possible. Black people wake up. The world's about to change. God created it for Jacob. All things are possible. Hispanic people wake up. The world's about to change. God created it for Jacob. All things are possible. Black people wake up. The world's about to change. God created it for Jacob. All things are possible. Hispanic people wake up. The world's about to change. It was Abraham that fathered us. The plan was so marvelous. They stole our identity so they could be a part of us. Now they don't acknowledge us. You know it's still drafted when they say God is white and the nation's been grafted in. But I sit back and laugh at them. We changing our nation. The truth can't be hid. This is the age of information. So run tell your president, Congress, and senators. Real Benjamin, I ain't full of that kind of stuff. Fake Egyptology, no blood relation. The covenants are ours, not for no other nation. And we're in his creation, so I'ma do the Father's will. Babylon is done to the eagle over dollar bill. And now that they try to hide, can't fool me easily. Smile in my face, but plotting on secretly. Read your scriptures daily, stay away from must agree. You can move them out with the face of a mustard seed. All things are possible. Black people wake up. The world's about to change. God created it for Jacob. All things are possible. Hispanic people wake up. The world's about to change. God created it for Jacob. All things are possible. Black people wake up. The world's about to change. God created it for Jacob. All things are possible. Hispanic people wake up. The world's about to change. They say the government is watching them. Fringed up cardigan. I wanna be a part of them since they go marching in. First we gotta figure out what really ails us. The world turned their back and the church system failed us. Fed us to swine, said we was under grace. Took our identity, gave it to another race. Message to Esau, time's up, you're not a Jew. My people waking up, cause all things are possible. All things are possible. Black people wake up. All things are possible. Hispanic people wake up. The world belongs to us, it's a new day for Jacob. All things are possible. Black people wake up. All things are possible. Hispanic people wake up. God created it for Jacob.
First, I just want to start out by saying all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, in the spirit and in the examples of the Hamashiach, the Messiah, Christ. It's a great pleasure for me to say that, we got a very strong brother here. He's a biologist, also, dabbles into genetics. I consider him a geneticist. I would like for you to please introduce yourself and let the people know your area of research and expertise.
Peace and love, and all praises be to the Most High. Man, my name is Brother Jesse Ngozi. I've been in the community a while. I used to be a member of, in the community I was known as Amaran Squad. I was a member of the Amaran Squad. I formed my own group called Team Osiris. I've been around for about 8 years, 10 years. I never was like a major public figure. I was always like an in and out feature. But I did a lot of stuff. We started off on Blog Talk Radio, and we did a lot of stuff going backwards and forward. I was one of the first people to bring or coin the term pseudo to the conscious community. I brought that to Amaran Squad, and then later on it spread. And it was, I think, Brother Wesley Muhammad was another individual who used to say it here and there, but we made it famous when I was with them. My background, I've been around for a long time. I started off on this platform for the Nikki Love Show. My history is I have a bachelor's in biology. I received my associate's in Triton, turned around and went to Olivet. Then after Olivet, I went back and forth from the schools, because timing was going on. So I had to go back and finish completely at Eastern completely. After that, it wasn't like a direct thing. I hurried up and got my associates, but later on I dibbled and dabbed in school to get the rest of them. the collective credits that I had to get from when I went to Olivet, dropped out of that, then turned around and completed it completely at Eastern. Anyway, yeah, so basically I came to the college community around 2010 or 11, and I started out again on Nikki Love's show, and after Nikki Love, we turned around and kept going backwards and forward, became a member of Honor Rock Squad. I've been separated from Honor Rock Squad for about 4 years, and I formed Team Osiris, and Osiris means our solution is revealed in science, or one soul instantly resurrected in spirit. And ever since then, man, we just been getting it on and popping. Again, I always just been a special feature. I never was like in the mainstream thing of the conscious community. I've just been a person that come in and out, and I give shouts out to Brother Sarnetta and different people, and even including you guys, the Hebrews, for allowing me to have a platform to build and be able to do what I got to do.
All praises. So the first question I would like to ask you is, do you believe in the Supreme Creator?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I'm not atheist. I have something like a pantheistic type of view, but not completely. I do believe that there is a sense of pure consciousness that permeates through matter and is not defined by the physical laws that govern over this tangible reality. So we can't really find it or place the Most High in a jar. And you know, my thing is that the divine word is primordial energy moving into mass. Its building blocks is quantum particles from subatomic to atomic, and its laws is nature. So we bear witness to the sign of the Most High, or what we call the Most High, through nature, which is His law. And if I can ever express it or bear witness to it in a tangible form, the best thing that I can describe it as is the developmental regulatorial processes of nature. And within nature, there is a great way of doing things and a low way of doing things. And with me being man, I feel that I want to reach the highest point of myself, which is me at my best, to have some type of better signal with the higher essence that we identify as the Most High. Because we live in a world that's gulf, and you know, matter itself is mess. Mass is mess. It's matter. It's a grotesque reality, moving at a dead state. It's based off decay. So ultimately, this isn't it. So I don't want to be bound by the physical laws that decays and breaks down. So I try to be my best and be a good person and have some type of good character to reach the higher aspect of the upper force that we label as God, or some people can call Yahweh, or some people can call Allah. But I'm going to respect this panel, and I'm going to call the Most High because I'm on the Hebrews panel, Yahweh, the I am, you know.
Yeah, so as far as like Yahweh, Yah, Allah, Ra, do you feel that these are all different terms of essentially the same Supreme Creator?
Symbolic thought is what drives man. So when man come on the scene, the idea of the Most High has always been we always had to describe it like Ra. Ra just don't represent the sun. Ra, the sun, is Aten Ra, which is Harakati, which is Ra and Hanun. This is who Akhenaten or Akhenaten gave homage to. But the sun decays, so the sun can't be it. So ultimately, the people in the Nile Valley called the upper force as a collective, Nebecher, meaning Lord of the uttermost limit. The sun is a representation of the Most High expressed through invisible form because of its power and thermonuclear fusion and energy, and it helps organisms grow. That's why one of the other attributes of Ra was Shechem-Er. Shechem-Er means elder, strength, or great power. Shechem can mean strength or power. Er can mean eldest or great. So overall, are they the same thing? Well, when you go back in time, before the Hebrews or the people that we know in the Near East worship Yahweh, and earlier stages before man had came to the conclusion of the collection or the collective consciousness or the oneness, people in Kemet call it Pa'ur or Neta'ur, or as Muslims say, one of the secret attributes of Sufism is who, you know, if people understand what Sufism and Islam teaches. But ultimately, everybody had this, in the beginning, we had an animistic understanding of the divine. Everything in nature had an underlying principle that we call spirit, right? And then later on, as time goes by, we start looking at the higher attributes of nature. Man fears storms. We see he fears, certain things in the environment. And he looked at these things as these processes as identifying as the divine. And this is why the scriptures, Quran and in the Bible, the Most High don't want us dealing with, idolatry or paganism, because these ideas and objects can be looked at as being lesser forces, and it's not the ultimate force because they all decay. So at one time, a man was confused and didn't understand. He looked to forces of nature, which we should, because ultimately the forces win. But he looked at that as being it until he gained a deeper understanding. And the ones who did have a deeper understanding of the oneness, sometimes they can get on some 10% demonstration as they teach us in the streets against the 85% and control the masses of what they do. And some people were just non-believers. So ultimately, there was always one concept of a greater aspect of matter that couldn't be defined. One of the greatest representations that we ever experienced in visible form has always been the sun, but the sun isn't it because it decays. So yes, certain attributes that the people in Kemet like the term Amin Renef, Amin, which means hit, Renef means his name, or Amun Ra, the hidden power, which underfirms visible matter. But the problem was with the imagery and the morphic symbolism that man fathomed to from corrupt priesthood caused the issue with man, because they got caught up in the idols. They got caught up in some cases. They believe that if they lost a symbol of a specific deity, they wouldn't go right. It creates some form of paranoia psychologically. So it's problematic. But overall, the idea of the oneness was always subjectively in the back of man's mind. It's just through our creative nature and our symbolic way of thinking. Through time, we must understand our cognitive ways of thinking and our cerebral cortex that we have, which makes us complex thinkers. Sometimes man likes to make things more complex than what it is, so we start creating all these different symbolic signatures and have figuratively speaking in our language, which gave symbolic signatures and understanding of how things function and work, and people can get caught up in that instead of understanding that all of this stuff wither away, that there's only one greatness to it all. And that's the divine nothingness that we really can't define. And that divine nothingness was always there. We said the primordial aspect of Kemet, Nunet, Huat, Kuat, you know what I'm saying? Amun and Amunet. Nunet is formlessness. Huat is boundlessness. Kuat is darkness. Amun and Amunet is the hidden one. But that formless aspect is the same thing when we find in the deeper aspect in Hebrew, when you find terms like Aïsha, which is the infinite one, or to be infinite, or an Ifa above Oludumare is Akamara. It's undefined. We would never be able to define the upper force. We only can bear witness to it through certain signals and seasons through nature, and explain it the best way we could through literature and certain commandments that was given to us to follow, instructive things, that type of stuff.
So, if you could tell me your views on the Bible, as far as the Old Testament and the New Testament, and do you believe that this can help us today?
I honestly believe if you're sincere with your faith, yes, it could. I have watched and seen people that honestly wholeheartedly believe in the Bible, and it helped people clean up. It got people off drugs and stopped women from prostituting. It changed lives. It could be a gift and a curse because you got egotistic people that use it to control the mass. Or you got some people that try to capitalize off of it. But there definitely is good works in scriptures that's beneficial for man and beneficial to man. I mean, I bear witness to it. You can't tell me like you got people out here that say, oh, well, Jesus doesn't exist. But Jesus or Yahshua exists to the person who he helped clean up. Regardless of if it's a literal thing, it's not about the man, it's about the message. So if the idea of Jesus or Yahshua can stop a woman from being a prostitute, whether it's a placebo effect or not, if it makes a person better, yes, it's real. So yeah, I think it has its benefits to it. And it's definitely beneficial to people that are following the principality of it and When people get caught up in the exaggeration of it and the literacy of it, whether you're a zealot believer or you're turn around or you're just a person who is an atheist. I mean, either way, if you take it in literal, it creates those types of psychosis. Because you got the atheist who goes out his way every day to denounce God, which makes him a kind of more believer than a person that believes in it. Because if you wake up every day talking about God and how much you're going to debunk the Bible, somewhere in the back of your mind and heart, the idea of Yahweh or the Most High exists in you because you wake up to denounce it every day. So ultimately, it's opposite sides of the same pole.
So do you believe that any of the patriarchs or prophets of the Bible actually existed?
I believe that some exist, and some of them we haven't discovered yet. So I don't know. I'll be lying to you if I say, oh yeah, Moses exists. I don't know if Moshe or Musa exists historically. And there is some he possibly did, but some things could have been exaggerated because that's what man does, but it doesn't denounce his message or the message that was given to us. I do believe that Yahshua exists, but I don't believe Yahshua exists, but again, you have different people telling his story about how he did things 200 years later. Is there evidence? No, there's not any. There is certain things, but there isn't a total historicalness. And if anybody tell you that, oh, this ain't real and that ain't real, and they feel like they're certain, they're lying. I honestly believe when the scriptures was written, it was written in place based on principle to give man instruction on how to function in his daily life. They're taking it literal. You can find some of these stories in older Near Eastern myths, but the name might change, or older Near Eastern stories before the name changes into the time period when other people have it. So yes, I believe that prophets exist. I do. Can I prove it historically? No. Some of them I believe is allegorical, and it's just based off a message. And some of them I honestly do believe exist, but when they did exist, their story was exaggerated. But the exaggeration is needed because it's a formula or examples to give man based on principality while living in this harsh reality that we live in, surrounded by people and all types of other things. It is the decaying matter that we live in, this dying life.
Okay, so what are your views on so-called African Americans and other minorities claiming ancient Israelite? Is it valid? What are your views on that?
The Hebrews or the people in the Middle East that we label as Israelites were a mixed multitude. There is articles where, these people were, at one time it could have been Canaanites and Shashus who mixed together and formulated the Hebrew Israelite or whatever. Some of the Canaanites had sub-Saharan African components. There was an article out that talks about sub-Saharan African genes found in Ashkenazi Jews, and it could have occurred 3,000 years ago, or occurred 3,000 years ago, or whatever. So there definitely was some sub-Saharan African components in the Near East. It wasn't all of the sub-Saharan African components that you find in the Middle East today wasn't just brought there through the Arab slave trade or because Bantus was there and enslaved and brought over there. I mean, Tahakra, when the people in the Nile control was fighting against the Syrians, Israel was one of the Israel and a few other camps over there in the Levant were one of the bases for the people of the Nile. It'd be foolish to say, how do we get the Judaistic faith? Because we know you have converts as well. But how do we get the Yahuda faith coming into Ethiopia to formulate the Falasha Jews? And then one time these people were in Elephantine at one time in Sudan. And after that, you find J1C3, their Y chromosome going into what the limbers are. And I think it's been up for like 2,000 years. It's been amongst all the EM2s or the E1B1A1 clusters. So the Hebrews, and then when you look at the minorities, whether it's African American or not, Hebrews is not really based off, for me, it's not based off a literacy of coming from the Middle East. It's about your components that was there, but yet still living by the scriptures that's been given to you. So Israelite only means one who struggles with God. Hebrew is to pass over. Now, the crossover thing might be a little bit exaggerated, but to pass over. So if you're living accordingly to the laws, like you're supposed to, why is it that you can't be a Hebrew Israelite? It don't matter who you are. And when it comes to the other minorities, like the Latino brothers and sisters, when you start studying their genetics, our Latino brothers and sisters have sub-Saharan, they're triracial. And they have sub-Saharan African component, they have Mediterranean European component, and then when you study the Mediterranean European component that they have, it comes from the Neolithic European that came out of early Anatolia. And those same Anatolian farmers who split into the Mediterranean from the so-called Middle East, they also spread through the Levant at a specific time period. And these same people were partially responsible for coming together in some type of way and forming into what we have in the Middle Eastern beliefs. The Neolithic farmers that went up there to, the Mediterranean of Southern Europe, they mixed with those old Mesolithic Europeans before the Yemenites from the steppes came and fused into them.
So as far as the Hebrew faith, do you feel that it's more important as far as the practice of it, or is it more important the genetics, the DNA?
I think it's more important based off the practice, because genetics, when we talk about stuff like the Cohen gene, J1C3, the priestly or the Aaron gene, J1C3 just don't exist amongst Jews. J1C3 also exists amongst Arabs and other people. EM2 just don't exist in sub-Saharan Africa. EM2 is also, or E1B1A1 is also in the Middle East. You also count it amongst 6% of the Natufian population. The Natufians had a whole bunch of type of E's. E1B1B, E1B1A at 6%, EP2 at, I think, 3%. So the thing is that they had different clusters. One of the basal branches or earliest cluster of EM96 was found amongst the pre-pottery Neolithic B group, which also partially descends from the Natufians, who were also related to the Iberian Maroons in North Africa. So, and then you had a few wandering R1Bs that came. You had a split between northern Israel and southern Israel. So I don't think the faith was ever really based, the priesthood was based off the people that were devoted to it. It's just like when you got different races of men who become imam or sheiks in Islam. They got different markers. But the most devout imam is the one who understands surah and understands Quranic scriptures perfectly. And that formulates the priesthood. And I think that we get caught up in this lineage thing, and that's a form of idolatry. When you start getting caught up in DNA, the deoxyribonucleic acid, and you get caught up in that to determine who is who. That's not how, the Most High talks about lineage and everything, but we have to understand the lineage is based off the cloth, the lineage of keeping something going. It's more of a symbolic thing to me. So, like, if you follow on the Old Testament of Dawood, the house of Dawood, it's not, I don't believe it's literally talking about the so-called bloodline of David. It's about the specific that keeps the format of that blueprint going of the house of Dawood, not a literal bloodline. So it's about the practice, and the scriptures is put in place as a warning to humanity on how to deal with things in everyday society. That's why belief was always put in place. That's the most important thing. And also the T1A and T1B market was also amongst so-called people in the Middle East and North Africa at one time period.
Do you think haplogroup J is Y chromosome, Aaron? They say that it's found amongst Samaritans. That's one of they try to prove as validity for that claim.
This is Ashkenazi's argument. It's not a literal argument. I don't, when it comes to Aaron and the bloodline, I don't think it's a specific marker. Those markers exist in other populations outside of so-called Jews. This is their argument to keep up their facade of what they got going on. Because when you raise that curtain up too much, you learn that all of the Ashkenazis, they have a Semitic component in them at a low percentage, but most of them are converts. So they have to play this game. And that J1C3 is one of the major snips that you find amongst them, which keeps their story going. Even though the rest of them are R1B M269 like other Europeans. They do have a component or a piece of DNA or a portion that is slightly Semitic, but it's been overly whelmed and consumed by Indo-European speaking type people. Because you gotta understand, the Hebrew that the Ashkenazi speak is Yiddish. Yiddish is part of the Indo-European language family. It's not even pure Semitic. So with that being said, no, I don't think that. I think that they're keeping a narrative going to keep their pattern alive.
Right. From your studies, how do you think the ancient Israelites looked, phenotype?
I think that the ancient Israelites were swampy skinned people. Some were light skinned, some were swampy. in the sense of dark. I don't think they have one specific look. I think a lot of them look like dark, swarthy skinned Palestinians. Some of them probably were dark skinned, like some sub-Saharan Africans. And you had a few of them that was fair skinned, because you got to remember, fair skin comes from the Middle East before even going into Europe. It only makes sense.
I heard you say that it was Central Asia.
Yeah, Central Asia, yeah, and all including the Middle East. Yeah, it comes from Central Asia, Anatolia.
How do you think the descendants of Israelites will look today?
I think the closest thing, I think that, again, they look like everybody, like especially like our Latino brothers talking and African Americans talking. They look something like that, but I think the perfect example of what they would look like based off them all coming together collectively through time is the Yemenese Jews in Yemen. Not saying, that they only belongs to them, but I think that how they look phenotypically, you see it. Like if you look at ancient the pictures of Hebrews in Palestine, some of them had that Mediterranean, Middle Eastern look, and a lot of Latino brothers and sisters look like them, Boricuas, Dominicans, and then some of them might have darker skin, like African, like so-called African Americans, reddish, brownish skin, But the thing about Black Americans, and I'm going to be honest because I got to keep it 100, is that the snips that you find that we have, it's older than the so-called the Jewish faith. Not saying that there wasn't no sub-Saharan Africans over there, because they did leak over there. They all came together collectively to form that. But E1B1A predates Israel. Haplogroup T predates Israel. Haplogroup J predates Israel. This is before Israel even exists. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, technically there's no haplogroup that.
No. There you go. You said it. You said it, King.
What are the possible origins of EN96, EP2, 215, and EM2? Like, what are the possible origins besides Garfield just trying to push it to West Africa?
Well, EM96 that peeled off the haplogroup DE, it's a possibility that came from the Middle East or Northeast Africa. Now I'll tell you why. They found a parallel group of DE and a parallel group of E in 96 in Arabia. The only thing they lacked was a specific, they found a parallel group of E in 96 in Arabia. But the only thing they lacked was a DE to try to make it official. 2018 and 2019, last year, they discovered a new strand of haplogroup D, DO. They found it in Nigeria. And they found another set in Arabia. So then they started to say, haplogroup D developed in Africa. Well, Family Tree went behind them and said, no. They found the more basal branch of DE that's older than the branch of DO in Nigeria. They found the basal branch of DO in Syria. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So when you put it all together with this parallel group branch of EM96, meaning that a parallel group or it's a tentative, it's uncertain. So the thing is that with this branch in Syria and this other branch in Nigeria and this other branch in Arabia.
What about the Andamanese D?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. DM180. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When the Andamanese have a DM180, they independent branch of D. They got the same branch of D that some Japanese have and some and Newt have in Japan. But what I'm saying is they look like that. They look like the Adamese people first. But what I'm saying is that with them having a branch of DM180, and then you got this parallel group of EM96 in Arabia, then you have this older strand of DO in Syria, and then you got all these other branches of. And then you also found EM96, original EM96 among the Tutsians in the Middle East. It's a high possibility that haplogroup E at the base developed in the Middle East. But the problem is that when it goes from EM96 to EP174 to EP177 and becomes EP2, it found refugeum in Ethiopia. And from Ethiopia, you find them going to two directions. They form into EP215, which is E1B1B going north, and you find EB38, which is E1B1A going west. And when they go west, a lot of these people spend time in the early North African, but when it was Green Sahara. This is where you find the Iberian Maroons and different things before the Immerian culture came in from the so-called Near East. So after that, you have E1B1A in the early Green Sahara, and you got this This EM78, which comes from EB65, which is a strand of E1B1B up there, and they live in amongst one another. You got three phases of the Holocene glacier period. One phase, second phase, third phase. A lot of the EB38 to the form of that. Well, way before that, because this happened around 30,000 years ago, before the Holocene period, they formed into the EM2 branch. And with the EM2 branch, some of these cats went into the wet parts of the wet Sahara, went south, and this is when they started to develop sickle cell and help fight off malaria, right? This happened at this time. This is way after the development of EM2, because EM2 is probably 30,000 to 19 bands years old. The sickle cell strand that we developed to help us fight off malaria is 7,000 years old. Before we go back, some of them go back east and some of them go west. But we got to remember, the strand of EB38 that was found in the Near East is absent of EM2, right? EB38 again is E1B1A. It's absent of EM2. So the thing is that you got to be careful with E1B1A because you got one EM329, which is E1B1C that you find in Ethiopia that's absent of EM2, and you find a predominant EM2 in the Niger Congo speaking population based from Mali through Gambia, all the way through Senegal, all the way through Nigeria, all the way to the Benue Congo speakers that we label as Bantu, all the way down to South Africa and back east. You get what I'm saying? So it's tricky.
So, what are your views on the Ethiopian claims and other East African, Horn of Africa?
I think that East Africans have a right to claim it because East Africans had a president in the Middle East. I mean, you can study Aksum and see that. You know, we had Sabians, the Sabians who helped create Aksum or Saba Empire before a lot of people converted. We was in the Ethiopians were in the Middle East. They at one time they controlled it. I think that again, the lineage don't belong to just one people. That's what Ashkenazis want you to think, that it only belongs to a specific type of look, and that's kind of bogus. It doesn't work like that.
So let's now go down south to the Limba. They're very famous for their claims, and they also carry that J marker.
They carry T1A.
And they carry that T marker also, which both of these are found amongst the Natsuki, found. How valid is their claim?
I mean, I think that they had a Hebrew presence because even if they was converts, the faith don't just belong to one people. Because if you find a mixed multitude, you find J1C3 amongst them, you find a clade of T1A amongst them, then you turn around and find EM2 amongst them. Mainly, EM2 is at 40%, 50% or 40% is 40% is J1C3 or 30%. 12% is like the haplogroup T1A and the rest is EM2. So that lets you know, like, we understand, before people start speaking these specific languages, it was a mixed cluster anyway. So however they look, with the people in Palestine, with the Falasha Jews from Ethiopia, that's what the Hebrews look like. And our Hispanic cousins, or so-called Hispanic cousins, I don't like to, play that, but if we're going to play that, they got the most unique feature of it as well, because they don't look no different from the Palestinians, not to mention, they found out now that the Philistines, who were responsible, who lived in Israel at one time, some of these people found their way inside of the so-called text, to one off to become so-called part of the faith. And these same so-called sea people, Mediterranean Europeans from Southern Europe, is also partially part of what our Hispanic cousins is part of. That also all descend from Anatolian farmers that migrated into Southern Europe from Central Asia around 7,000 years ago, partially. So the look is what we see, what you guys and different people are presenting.
I'm working my way around Africa now. I want to go west. I want to go to the, Igbo and the Yoruba. What about their claims?
I don't think the Igbo claim is real. I think that the Igbo brothers and sisters just converted into it because they had a system before they practiced Israel. The Israelites, they used to worship a god named Allah. It was the earth goddess, and the Yoruba as well. I don't think now the Hebrews did find a path to West Africa, but it was basically northwest because you got Berber Jews and stuff. But with the Yoruba, this doesn't denounce our brothers and sisters calling themselves Hebrews that descend from there because it's based on faith. And not saying it wasn't a sub-Saharan component, because remember, the Yoruba do share the same component as our Bantu speakers in South Africa. They all are EM2. So let's not get that twisted.
When you do see the E's, the T's, the J's, And then, you see the same thing, for the Igbo and the Yoruba, for Garfield just to write them off like, oh yeah, E1B1A, you can't be an Israelite. Do you feel like that's valid? We did make the point that it is a faith thing, but just to write somebody off because of their genetics.
I don't think you could, just not based off genetics. I don't think you could write anybody off. And I think when we start to do that, that's kind of like pick, because you can't, you don't. I mean, Garfield has his way of thinking, and that's okay. But I don't think it's based off a specific haplogroup, which only makes up less than 0.1% of your DNA. I mean, I don't even think people should think that haplogroups can determine your race. That's just your deep ancestral lineage. So the thing is that I don't think that, you can write it off, but no, there was a presence of E1B1A in the Middle East, just like there was a presence of E1B1B in the Middle East, and J1C3 and J1 and J2 in the Middle East, and T1A and T1B in the Middle East, and even certain shadows of R1B, not R1B and 269, but it was some R1Bs over there. That's why it's important for us to study the Middle East. So I don't think we should write it off. It's kind of like, can't write off nothing, man, because everything had its presence in the so-called, people been going backwards and forward. The Middle East is a zone of confluence. Some areas of the Middle East are not where SNPs developed, it's just a recessive zone where people receive. Like the Sumerians, for example. The Sumerians wasn't the Shigagigi, as the Akkadians call it, which means blackface. That only meant absent-minded. It had nothing to do with what they called themselves. It was absent to what the Akkadians understood because they were unknown men. That's why they call them the Babylonian blackheads or the Shigagigi, right? Now, the Shigagigi, or these so-called Sumerians, they come from more than one group population. You have the P-Pottery B, Neolithic P group, which gave rise to the Proto-Ubanians. You got certain fisher groups that migrated through Yemen. And you have those Eastern Iranian farming groups who were also partially responsible for forming the Dravidian Empire. The Eastern Iranian farming groups, you find a genetic component that mixed with the black Adamanese in India. And they were responsible for partially developing the Harappa civilization before the Aryans got there. So let's get to talking about what's going on with these different groups of people, bro.
Now let's just hit up North Africa just for the fun of it, because we're gonna leave out Central Africa. No disrespect to anybody claiming to be an Israelite. And
Central Africa,
Uganda, possibly. Let's stick to my game plan. We're gonna learn about Central Africa for now. Let's just go to North Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria. The Berbers are very diverse. You cannot give one phenotype to the Berbers.
No, you cannot. Some are black as face, some is pale as snow, some is beige is urine. You know what I'm saying? They come in different phenotypes.
You just hear that, and then you see a camp on the street that is mixed, well, as far as, the One West camps, that they're diverse looking. You can have a pale skin, a red, Indian looking skin brother. The Berbers are the perfect prototype for that. So, can you touch on North Africa a little bit and claims of Israelite in North Africa?
Yeah. The North Africa, the people, the Israelites found their way in North Africa. They found their way there.
And, genetically, when they show you Middle East and North, they always tie that together anyway.
Yeah, they show they tie Arabia with North Africa, and they show Middle East and North Africa. Yes, they tie it all in together collectively. Yes, they do.
So, I think that speaks for itself there. And then, do you believe all Arabs are one nation of people?
No.
All Arabs are Ishmael?
No. Again, that's what you follow this Ashkenazi Jewish narrative. Arab is an ethnicity. It's not. Arab is a culture. It's not an ethnicity. You have black Arabs. You have white Arabs. You have swampy skinned Arabs. It's not a specific race. If I take this to Socotra Island, those Arabs get black in space. If I take you to Yemen, they got fuzzy coarse hair like people in Nigeria. You know what I'm saying? According to the story of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he says anybody who speaks Arab is an Arab. So Arab doesn't just belong to one group of people. It doesn't. And that'd be like a lie to say they did.
Yeah. And, through your studies and research, which, other people should also do their research and studies. They shouldn't just take one man's word on it. But do you know of any forced conversions of Israelite tribes to Islam in history?
I mean, yeah, of course. When Muslims converted a lot of people into Islam. I mean, one time in Palestine, people used to have their own faith. You had a high dosage of Christianity in Arabia at one time. So, you know, when Islam came on the scene, it was a revolutionary aspect of the faith that was lost, because you got to remember, Judaism was hijacked. Christianity was hijacked. People needed something. So when Islam came with the sword in some cases, people can relate to it. So they had the idea of this oneness of God. So it kind of overrode the older storylines of what was given. So yes, there was a lot of people that converted into the Islamic faith, just like people have converted to it now.
Has ancient Israelite DNA ever been found, and have they released these finds? And if no, can you explain why you think they haven't released that information?
I mean, if they did find them, and I'm sure they have, it'll debunk what Ashkenazi Jews are saying. You got to understand what's going on. I mean, Yahshua said that, you know, they will claim that they are Jews, but they are not Jews, but they are children of the church. They are children of the synagogue church, children of the synagogue of the church of Satan, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they control the media. People control the narrative. So it can go in any direction. So they found a graveyard full of Israelites, and certain markers came out, and certain morphology of skulls came out looking different than what they look like. Why would I tell you? Why would I?
You know, because how you got the Tufi bones, and you got pre-pottery Neolithic A, you got B, you got C, but you don't have Israelite, like that's kind of fishy, right?
That's a problem. So yeah, so then when they talk about the Tufi, and Sir Williams, he said they were phenotypically morphology. You can compare the affinities or similarities with similar to Negroes. So, and the Tufians are related to the Iberian Maroons. They had promathism. They reconstructed one. Dude's jawline was protruding out, which shows the typical so-called Negroid morphology. So with that being said, you know what I'm saying? You know,
right.
They have an agenda. The agenda is to make you feel like nothing. The agenda is to make you feel like you're just a number. The agenda is to make you feel like you're just part of a collection and everything is based off survival. The agenda is to drive and promote capitalism. That's what this whole thing is about.
Not spiritualism.
Not spiritualism, it's materialism. Atheism. There is no God. You can do what you want to do. You only got one life. But yet still while you're doing reckless shit, you have a conscience that's eating you up. You can't sleep by yourself that night. You have to resort to alcohol or drugs to keep yourself sane, or loud music, or having constant sex. Because you can't deal with the science, because the insanity that you're accumulating from your so-called, as you guys would say, sinful ways, or destructive nature, or lower impulses. We have a responsibility on this planet, and to me, the maintenance organism of the planet, Homo sapiens, to keep things in order. You can't live reckless. If you could, we wouldn't suffer the way we suffer when we try to overdo ourselves and overexalt ourselves, or the ending comes. How things end when ego kicks in and other things kick in. You know, you reap what you sow. There's laws to this. You can't overly bend or ever overly exalt. There are natural laws, which means we have natural instructions on how things should function. And when you try to go outside of your lane, you're pushing yourself to a natural self-destructive process, which leads to death. And you accumulate this stuff as you live. That's why people got things that happen to them in their childhood that they can't forget, or things that happen to people in front of them and they accumulate that and they can't forget. What's causing you to mimic these patterns? And it's also responsible for your health when you do certain things. You know, eating certain foods when you don't follow the law that was given to you. Eating certain foods and you wonder why you got diabetes. You know, or high blood pressure, high in sodium. You know, scriptures tell you how to deal with things in a minimum way. Don't overly exalt a glut. And we see what happens when you overly exalt glut. You got obese men out here controlling the world, and they getting ready to have a damn heart attack 2 seconds away. So when we bend the rules of what the upper force put in play, regardless if you want to call it the laws of Ma'at, or do you find, or dealing with the laws of the Torah, or the code of Hammurabi. There was always instructions on how to do things. Human beings ultimately are animal at our lowest state. The highest state is something we got to reach through knowledge. And knowledge comes through knowing. And you get to know when you gain wisdom and understanding.
How do you feel about haplogroup CT? How, you know, that is that considered like the ultimate bottleneck? How everything gets to that point?
Every man outside of Africa comes from them. And some men within Africa come from them. Whether it's DE and E, and all of the people outside of Africa descend from CT in 168. And according to Spencer Wells, that guy developed somewhere in East Africa in the Great Rift Valley in Tanzania. But recent studies show that he possibly developed in Northeast Africa before spilling out to the Middle East. And with my personal research following him, or the people with that marker, he was an extension of the Assyrian culture that descended from Sub-Saharan Africa and went north 100,000 years ago. And it went from a specific branch of A to BT, and from BT to CT. And this is when you find a CTM 168. And I say that because when you look at the Iberian Marusian DNA, some of the components was 30% matching with Sub-Saharan African. And they used Yoruba as a base sample. Because you got to remember, the genes of the Yoruba are older than the Yoruba. Let's get that correct. And they used the Hadza as a base sample. And the Hadza is predominantly B, right? And the CM60, which is the brother branch of CPM 168. Which lets us know that BT was partially the reason why you had B up there, and part of the reason why you had the Assyrian culture up there. Also, those people that linked it to Saudi Arabia that formed the Nubian complexes were also connected to these Assyrian groups. So CT comes out of that region, and he also left out and went into Africa, or these men with that specific marker left out of Africa and went into the Middle East. Spent a lot of time over there because he says he had so much time in the Middle East. That brother survived all the way into the Tufian phase, or his lineage, because you find CT in 168 amongst the Tufians as well. You know what I'm saying?
So what haplogroups do you know or believe would you connect with the ancient Israelites?
Well, looking at the pre-pottery Neolithic B groups, they were J's. Well, I'm not, because the pre-pottery Neolithic B groups was before that. But I'm just talking about the population that exists in the Middle East. So you had E3Bs, a few E3As, T1B, a few T's, I'm sorry. And then when the Iranian groups started to disperse from certain areas around 7,000, 6,000 years ago, and they thought that recently you could type up Canaanite DNA discovered. You look at the DNA, the J's started coming in a little bit before the Israelites. So you found J's amongst them. You found J's amongst them, T's, few E, different strands of E's. All those were responsible for the people in the Middle East. And you can still find strategies of that today, even though the Middle East had unrested genes because different people kept coming in and breeding, bleaching them out more and more. But the components still exist. A component is a piece or part of DNA that still exists amongst them.
Why do you think haplogroup T, that you don't really hear too much about it? You know, we hear a lot about E, E1B, 1B. We hear a lot about J. People don't really know about haplogroup T like that.
Well, haplogroup T been around a long time. You found it amongst the pre-pottery Neolithic B and A culture. Also, you find it amongst Somalians. You find it amongst the Limba. You find it amongst the Syrian zones. It's been around a real long time. A few Jews have it to this day. And I think they don't really talk about it a lot because, you know, again, it's one of those markers it's one of those major markers that's indigenous to the so-called Middle East. They want you to just focus on J all day. Ashkenazi will want you to focus on J all day. Other groups will want you to focus on E all day. Because of the lack of knowledge of understanding the population genetics or understanding genetics, there's not a lot of things on haplogroup T. Because it's like a marker that kind of like drift off and come with other groups. You get what I'm saying? It's kind of like, because the brother branch of it is L, and L is in India. Again, that's another genetic component, another ship that was responsible for the Harappa civilization. They both slipped from LT. So when these people come down, they kind of wander off and go into this overwhelming population and become part and parcel of a collective group.
I is more associated with Europe, but then that K marker, which T used to be considered a K, You know, if you could touch a little bit on the K marker.
Well, when the K, you find K amongst the dark-skinned people, the Aki people, the Philippines, and you find it amongst a few Aborigines, which is a brother branch to it. They got K. And you also found K amongst a few Melanesian groups. But you got a different specific mark. It's all in kinship. So they changed the name on the nomenclature to directly into T because it became its own independent branch. So they can try to create the diversity of it. But overall, yeah, you still find a remnants of the most basal branches of it amongst those other populations in Asia to this day. And you can see what they look like. But I and J, even Cro-Magnon I, before it became independent I, it's flipped IJ. These cats was dark skinned. You look up ancient Neolithic Europeans, they find them, they're all dark skinned before the Neolithic farmers came in.
Do you feel that the DNA science, Spencer Wells, he did this big, I'm going across the planet, I'm going everywhere to collect all this DNA, we're gonna put out all this research, but for some reason, I try to research as much as I can, but I feel that the DNA science and the research papers, even if you go to, especially if you go to Google Scholar, it's been at a total standstill, I feel, for like maybe a decade, maybe over 5 years. How do you feel with all this DNA science? Do you feel that they're putting out all this research paper every time they find something? Or is this all being hidden to protect, possibly the J haplogroup?
I mean, Ashkenazi's playing a role. They doing what they got to do. They keeping hope alive. You know what I'm saying? They got on a standstill. It's a lot of stuff coming out that's proving more and more like, hey, this identity don't belong to y'all. You know what I'm saying? So they got to keep up with the narrative. And they also changing the name of the SNPs. It ain't a simple haplogroup E anymore. They changing the name. It'll go E1B1A to EZ465.3. You look that up?
I thought it was EV38.
Right. So they changing the names, man, to confuse you. Because people figuring it out. You know what I'm saying? So it's tricky.
Yeah. Do you feel that, like, reading DNA data, raw data, is it equated to, like, mathematics or algebra or something?
Oh, yeah. It's a very interesting thing. I love science. I study science all day. I think that understanding organisms and cells and the development of genes and how it works is very important. I mean, one of the schools I went to, which I brought up before I got my associates, I went to the Olivet Nazarene School. It's a Christian college, but yet still is a cheaper school before I got to whatever altercation and I had to go to Eastern and finish. But all I do is study science. I think they're studying the human genome. One of the lessons that we dealt with is dealing with, genetics. We sequence animal DNA or whatever. But looking at monetizing SNPs, or guiding, thymine, and adenine, right? And monetizing how they change, or monetizing those single nucleotide polymorphisms and the short tandem repeats through PCRs, and look at how the behavior of the guanine, cytosine, thymine, and adenine works, GACT, which is responsible for these specific genes. It's an amazing thing. It lets you see how life flows. It lets you understand how paternal lineages go into multiple directions to become what they are. It ultimately lets us see how man comes from one source population when you follow the phylogenetic tree. Whether you want to call it metaphor scientific Adam, or, not saying that Adam and Eve literally met each other, scientifically it would be a different story. But it makes sense poetically through an allegory that has been formed from, you guys and the people that deal with it. So yeah, I think it's definitely mathematics. Science is a form of mathematics. Science means to know. Mathematics is how we measure things, how we come to conclusions. Math is everything. So yes, it's definitely math.
Yeah, when you're studying algorithms and things like that.
You study algorithms and all that. That's part of algebraic expressions. Physics is part of algebraic expressions. You have to understand what's going on. You got to be able to monetize the patterns mathematically to see what's what. And we can't determine the SNP and the direction it went in if we don't sequence it through mathematics. Think about it. You know what I'm saying?
People are very familiar with scientific Adam, but I don't think people are too familiar with scientific Noah. If you could touch on that.
Scientific Noah be labeled as CTM168, which gave rise to people outside of Africa. And this is where we get the, they use those narratives, but this is where some Hebrews, they think Some people will say it depends on who you're dealing with. They'll say Ham is E, Shem is J. I don't, you know, but let me just say this. My thing is, this is me. I'm not denouncing what you guys believe. This is just my personal belief. Shem, Ham, and Jefferson don't exist historically to me. I think that those are, you know, that was an old map produced to me by, you know, Greeks, and that's something that was inserted in Judaism later. Not saying that it's not truth to it, because again, I'm not anti what the Hebrews thinks, and I'm not trying to diss none of my Hebrew brothers. I got nothing but love for y'all. But I don't think a so-called haplogroup or SNP can determine what an Israelite is.
When you said the map, are you talking about the Circle T map?
Yeah. The Greeks and all that. And I think, but here's the thing. Let me explain this. The Hebrews were not, because I don't want the Hebrew audience to get, you know, agitated, because you guys have a right to. The Hebrews did not. They were trying to write the stories down to the best of their ability based off issues and things that happened prior before. When you get deeper into that narrative, it makes sense, but on the surface, it would make sense if you look at it from a literal eye. But if you understand the human genetics, migratory routes kind of makes sense. And then when you get into Afro-Asiatic language family, you know, they talk about Ham, Shem, and Jephthah, or Ham and Shem, and you start talking about the Afro-Asiatic language family linguistically. And a lot of people don't like to use it because Joseph Greenberg, this is one of the debates here that's going on amongst us and the other groups. Joseph Greenberg came up with the point Afro-Asiatic. But Afro-Asiatic speakers have similar genetics. Meta is a form of Afro-Asiatic. Amazigh Berber is a form of Afro-Asiatic. Semitic, whether it's Arabic, Hebrew, and different things, is part of Afro-Asiatic. Somebody can say that Ham, which came from Noah, came from the Near East and went back into Africa and mixed with the population there, who was probably some type of melodic group, and fused Afro-Asiatic amongst them. You get what I'm saying? There is proof that the Tufians, the farmers of the Tufians of the Levant, went back into Africa through Ethiopia. Not to mention the EV-155, even though E1B1B or EM-215 came from East Africa, it went through North Africa, and a part of it went to the Middle East, and it came back slightly mutated and came back down and went to Ethiopia. Even when looking at the EV-155, the cousin branch of it is found amongst early Natufian groups, and the EV-155 was partially responsible for, you found this amongst the melodic speakers and certain Cushitic Afro-Asiatic speakers of Tanzania and Uganda, but EV-155 was partly responsible for bringing a method of pastoralism into the southern parts of Tanzania and Uganda, even though somewhere near the Siwaosis, pastoralism started somewhere in Upper Egypt 8,000, 9,000 years ago. So what I'm saying is that when you follow it, it's a more complex story in detail to the idea metaphorically of Ham, Shem, and Japheth. See, we look at it from a storyline of a fairy tale way and look at it like, oh, it's just three men. But when you look at it in a deeper way, whether we want to base it as a Greek map or not, or whatever, the Greeks use that to keep coins or keep tabs on different groups of people, right? But when we look deeper into it, it's a complex truth to it, but it's not as simple as they say. You know what I'm saying?
Through my research, I would consider CT scientific Abraham and not Noah, because, you know, I have my theories why.
Yeah,
very many. 44 people still in
And
here.
there was still like 40 people.
Yeah.
So yeah, 45 still. It'll go back up. I would say just go to the hour mark and just say I'm gonna start.
Yeah, I'm gonna
from
start
here.
playing it now. I already got it queued, man. Let me just share the screen and start
All
playing.
right.
Oh, this is terrible. All right.
And then maybe just download it and say here's the full thing with no.
Yeah, but that's
no,
not gonna get no views. People sat through this thing already for an hour and a half. They ain't gonna want to sit through it again. I'll put it up, but that ain't gonna go nowhere.
If you don't want to put it up, Murphy will put it up on his. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't have a problem with that.
No, I'll do it. It's just, I'll do it. Hold on one second.
Just because of the technical difficulties and the echoes and.
All right, let me go ahead and play it. I'll call you back.
All right.
All right.
So we talk about antigens, which is protein, dealing with the different protein clusters within the blood. I did this with Minister Inky when I was dealing. One of the oldest blood types on the planet, it wasn't O, that's a myth. It's A. O negative is a universal donor though. But you can look it up. The oldest blood type, it's A. I'm B positive, They say that B positive is mostly found in Asia, but you got a lot of Africans with B positive too. Blood antigens doesn't really belong to any one group or one race. You might find one that's more common in a specific group overall, but it doesn't belong to nobody. You get what I'm saying? Can't really say it like that because you got white boys out here with O negative. And then you talk about the RH factor or RH negative. People that lack the D antigen in their blood. And they say it's predominantly found in white people. And I had to debunk easily on that. That's not true because you found, Nigerians, Yoruba people with a lack of the D antigen. And they had to take the rifle shot or whatever. RH factor. Most people are RH positive, but most of the other people are RH negative. So they lack the D antigen, which makes them RH positive. And a lot of Nigerian people got this situation. And we know when a woman is RH negative and she get a baby by a man that's RH positive, whatever his blood type is, her body can reject it and cause a condition called erythroblastosis. So they found the first case of it with a European person, but you also found among my mother, who was Algerian and Fulani descent. She was RH negative. She had to get the rogaine shot with me. My father was. Plus my mother's B negative. My father was O positive. My blood type is B positive. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's kind of like pseudo when they talk about blood type just belonging to one group. We want to be realistic about humanity, for real. It was like when people try to denounce God or say, oh, God made this messed up. And what the thing is about the physical world is it's designed to be imperfect. It's perfectly instructed to be imperfect. It's supposed to collapse and decay and have wobbly situations going on. It's not going to be perfect. The only thing that's perfect is nothingness, because there is no competition in the realm of nothingness. And this nothingness is the upper force that I define as God.
If you could just break down whatever you know about alcohol metabolism within indigenous peoples and,
And some people could adjust to it, but a lot of East Asians can't drink alcohol. It gives them a health condition, especially through their skin. You can see it. A lot of natives that drink alcohol, they don't respond to it. That's why a lot of natives on reservations are alcoholics. They don't really adjust to that. Some people can adjust to it and they prone to drinking it, but overall they don't really adjust to that. But yes, you have certain people that have certain alcohol potencies that they're able to adjust to, and you find Native Americans, even some Africans, with that situation. Were able to deal with certain contents of alcohol, but they really can't handle it. But I know in East Asians, alcohol is problematic to them.
And also Aboriginals.
That's 100.
I believe, I've been trying to see this research, but I also believe a lot of, some groups and the Arab cultures, being that, Islam, it's, haram for them to do that, and, so. I believe, and also East India, or I feel that, that a lot of them also,
Yes. Even in my family, on my dad's side, who are so-called African Americans, they can't handle alcohol. I got relatives that died, their kidneys is out of there, quick. like gone. You feel me? They faded. They dead. So it's like, yeah, that's 100, bro.
That SARA, the higher levels of that associated with depression, is that linked with Neanderthals? And if so, where I'm leading with this is that's their war type of gene. But if the Neanderthals, I also heard you say that they were more peaceable than more aggressive. If you could just touch on that.
Okay, the condition we were talking about is ADRA2B gene. And Europeans have it, or another nomenclature is SARA gene, but the main nomenclature is ADRA2B gene. And they see things differently. They deal with their levels of depression differently. And yes, certain cognitive behavior that Europeans and each other groups of people have is partially responsible for the Neanderthal genes. The Neanderthals they didn't really overpopulate the world. They existed in isolated spots. So this group of hominids or early humans or archaic humans, they didn't overpopulate and dominate territories like we did. So they were dispersed. So they had a lot of their brain was larger, but their cerebral cortex I don't think was as complex as ours. When scientists recently tried to regrow their brains, they grew these mini sections of it neurologically, and they said the behavior patterns was of somebody with Down syndrome. I gotta find it. I gotta find an article on it. They see things different. They're more dramatic in that situation. They commit suicide. And the Neanderthals they wasn't as violent as us, but shit. If you look at it, they found their fossils. They found out they were war prone. They broke their arms and shit. Their legs everywhere. They had a lot of. They was basically struggling and striping everywhere they went. They found fossils of big birds eating their babies and shit. They wasn't. They were humans, but they were like they had the mind of they were intelligent to the best of their ability, but they probably had the mind of a 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, and so the way they dealt with things psychologically was more emotional. They were prone to addiction more, like they constantly kept doing things more. They have the gene for that. A lot of Europeans or constant smoking cigarettes and all that, or addictive changes that people have. It's partially responsible for a lot of the Neanderthal genes. African Americans have, and people that exist in major war have something called the warrior gene because of what we've been through in our environment. That's environmental. So sometimes we don't function the same way. If you've been through a lot of trauma and different things, look up the warrior gene from African American.
Yeah, I'll look it up later on my own. I won't. But that's something for everybody. Look that up. I've never heard of this. I'm sure you've never heard of it. So look that up.
It's the warrior gene found in African Americans, man. Again, Europeans could, they always find a way to override what they got going on, so they got to shit on other people. You know what I'm saying? But the warrior gene is also known as the MAO gene, MAO gene, or MAO/A. It's an enzyme in humans. Yeah, MAO-A.
Okay. It's the largest database of people that have submitted DNA. We know financially minorities, we can't afford, so-called minorities, we can't afford these DNA tests like that. So the majority of people that have submitted DNA is Europeans. Is that correct?
Yeah, majority of
probably, if I was to guess, I would say 85% or higher is all European DNA.
Yes. I mean, they take the test more.
So most of their data is on European DNA.
Yes,
they have all of this European DNA. Why do they have so much amongst minorities? Why do we have so much undefined DNA, with what they would say unassigned DNA, unknown DNA?
Well, they don't have enough for the sample. That's why the sample change every year, like with not African ancestry, but AncestryDNA.com. The more samples of Africans they get, the more people Ancestry DNA change. Like last year, everybody had a high percentage of Congo in them. This year, because they get more continental African samples from here, now they're saying you have more Nigerian components in you. It's going to change next year too.
It went up with Senegambia. Senegambia went up crazy. And my unassigned DNA went up crazy. Like, You know?
They're going to do that. It's not enough for us taking the test compared to more European people and Asian people are more involved in science than we are, bro. So the shit is more beneficial for them. They can change the narrative if they want to. Look at what they did with E1B1A. Oh, the reason why E1B1A exists in Arabia or North Africa is because it was some slaves. But it's brother. So the thing is, they control the narrative, and if we don't get involved, we won't evolve because they can change the narrative to whatever the hell they want to. The methodology that they use is on point, but the narrative of what they tell in the storyline of it is crazy, like they did with the Egyptian mummies recently. And thought that all the Egyptian mummies mitochondrial DNA was Eurasian. But look at what zone that Al-Bujar, whatever that name was, they found the grave. The area that it was in was an area was a Hyksos graveyard. Not to mention, it's near, in between the north, near the zone, it was a trans exit for people from the Near East and North Africa. At this time period, between 3,000 years ago, all the way down to the 1st century AD, Egyptians were highly mixed. They had unrested genes. It started out one way, but ended another. They've been mixed even since pre-dynastic times. So you're going to find a higher percentage of mitochondrial DNA that's Eurasian. Then they sequenced the two brothers. The mitochondrial DNA was M1A1. Then when they wanted to look at the Y chromosome, oh, it's uncertain. We don't really know. No, you know what it was. The markers was nigger markers, whether it was E1B1B or E1B1A. Or look at Ramesses III. They go backwards and forth on whatever his Y chromosome was. They don't know if it was a form of EB22 or if it was E1B1A. So they go backwards and forth because they don't want to tell you if it was E1B1A or not. Because if they do, that means that E1B1A prolongs West Africa and exists in other areas outside of West Africa. They want you to think that the E1B1A was just a slave marker. But how the fuck is it a slave marker? His brother is E1B1B. If he ever populated what? So E1B1A said, oh, fuck, I'm just going to stay back. Go ahead, E1B1B, do your thing. I'm going to stay down here going to forward to become a slave and then let you take me into servitude later. That's stupid shit. So we got to be able to check their narratives and how they deliver the message. Just like with the Natufians, when they found out, okay, Sir William said the Natufians morphology and scroll type was like Negroids, right? Then they turned around and said, but they had no sub-Saharan African DNA. But they're predominantly E markers. What the fuck are you saying? So you gotta be able to catch them up. They're controlling the narrative. They're controlling the narrative. And that's what happens when you're dealing with people who are egotistic and driven by their lower desires and insecurity, which is ultimately what we label as Satan or Apep, which means challenge, and Kemet or Satan or Shaitan. Shaitan in Arabic means to pull away or to separate. Out of ego, they want to separate and pull things away from what it really is. It's sick.
A lot of times I read and research that, like, which is a sister group of this. I'm like, we're talking about white chromosome. Why would you use the word? Sibling group, you know, a brother group, sibling group. Why would you use sister group when you're talking about white chromosomes? And even with Israel, when people, oh, the motherland. No. The fatherland of Israel.
That's the game they gotta play, man. You gotta remember, according to Ashkenazis, and I'm not trying to shit on the Ashkenazis, man, but in order to be a Jew, you gotta go through your mama. But they put out an article recently. That most of the Ashkenazi women aren't so-called Semitic. So who are these people? You know what I'm saying? And there isn't a bloodline for Semitic speakers. The Habesha of Ethiopia speak of Semitic. They call it Ethio-Semitic. It's another stratum of Afro-Asiatic in the Semitic family branch of it. And they're sub-Saharan African. So Ethiopia is sub-Saharan Africa, and they speak a Semitic language. You got Maasai people who speak a Nilotic language, but they got a high percentage of E3B that they got from Cushitic people. Or the people with EV155 who are pastoralists, they speak a Nilotic language, but they got mainly Nilotic components. So you got to get out of the zone of the mindset of the bloodline thing. This is what they want us to do.
As far as
power.
As far as Cushitic, is that something that they label themselves going?
They don't call it something. A lot of the linguistic terms come from Greenberg, and later on you got other linguists that in the consensus that support him. You know, that support him. So showing out line, you know, his method of his structure of it, you know, it's still used. And I use those terms because mainstream academia.
But it's funny that Cushitic falls underneath Afro-Asiatic, when you would think it would fall underneath a Hamitic or whatever. Like,
well, the original Kushi in northern Sudan, melodic language was a melodic language. And the original Ethiopia or Kushi was northern Sudan, then the Hissi. So it don't make sense, but again.
The lost tribes went to a land called Osiris, and this land is a land that mankind has never dwelt before. And some people theorize that it's North Africa, Algeria, Morocco, Mauritania area that people never inhabited that area. And, others, are strong proponents that it's America.
Okay.
If you look at the Circle T map, which is fairly old map, on that map, you have, Asia, you have Africa, you have Europe, but you don't have America on that map. So,
I think based off you saying that, my theory is biblical text is 80% prophecy and 20%, there's 20 to 10% literacy, right? But most of it is based off prophecy. So if there is a strange land that's unknown that no man has ever been through before, we know North Africa was populated. Some of the earliest Christian writers was North Africans. St. Augustus, a few of them I can name. The people that was over there and out there before the Romans got their hands on the Council of Nicaea. You had the Greeks when they went into North Africa. A lot of the people were early North Africans were dealing with Christianity, so that was already inhabited. America was inhabited by Paleo-Mongoloid cousins who came over here from near the Bering Strait of Siberia, but they had a lot of ice in the space. And when they came, they wasn't as they had their wars and different tribes, but America was a big free land. And to that known world at that time, the Middle East only knew the Middle East. So this absent land, they knew the Middle East and they knew North Africa and they knew East Africa, so they talk about Egypt and Ethiopia and all that. But it was a blank zone somewhere in their mind for them to talk about this place. So if we're going to base it on prophecy metaphorically, and I said 80 to 70% prophecy, if you want to use that, you could say it's America. You could make it a reality because this world is a known new world to everybody. Everybody here is immigrants, except, the brothers and sisters that carry a decent amount of Native American ancestry, and primarily it's found amongst our Latino brothers and sisters who are Puerto Rican descent with a lot of Taino or Arawak ancestry, and some of the African Americans with it, especially those in Oklahoma with some of the Native American component. Even if you got 1%, 2% or point something percent, it shows somewhere down the line you had a great ancestor who was a Native American who was completely reduced down when they started mixing with other groups of people. But either way, this can fill into that pot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Do you believe that Lucia was from Australia?
No.
Originally?
No, I think that a lot of the natives that came over here before crossing the land bridge, some of them already had that Aborigine Australoid component in them before they came here. And the thing about South American natives is the further south, the older they are. The Clovis cultures came through North America and went all the way down south. So the ones in the southern parts of America have some of the oldest stratums of DNA of original Native Americans. It takes time to go from north all the way to south. So by the time they made it south, when you go into Brazil and the Amazon, you're looking at the oldest natives. And then amongst some of those Brazilian tribes, some of those people had Australoid components, but some of that stuff was already in them before crossing the land bridge. You get what I'm saying? Also, we got to look at the history of Asia. Asia has a pattern. Typically, I ain't even get into haplogroups.
If you look at the images of the Anu, I'm sure you saw the Anu man
and the drumming. They got bushy clothes and shit. Asia goes from a proto-Australoid, which is some type of proto-Capoid group from Africa, to proto-Australoid. Proto-Australoid is Adamese type people, to Australoid, which is the people that you see as Aborigines, and the people in Malaysia and Papua New Guinea, right? And then it goes from that type of phenotype to Paleo-Mongoloid. This is where you find an in-between phenotype where they slightly dark-skinned, but they got the epileptic eye fold and their face is slightly flattened. Zealanders were initially an Australoid group, but then when the Austronesians came down, who were a Paleo-Mongoloid group, Austronesians, because they mixed with them. This is why a lot of our Polynesian cousins in Hawaii, who were the last group population to come to the Americas, I mean, I'm not outside of the European time. They came over here, in a sense, the native refugee coming over like 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago. Before they got here, they're related to the Filipinos. They're related to them. These are Austronesian speakers, but they went to New Zealand and they picked up certain genetic components from those Australoid groups. But when you follow the pattern of Asia, the first Asians look like black Africans. Whether they was the early West Asians, the early East Asians, they look like black Africans. These basal Eurasians look like black Africans. That's what they look like. Later on, it goes from that proto-Capoid to that proto-Asteroid look. Black Adamese people are a group of basal Eurasians. That's what they are. They're Eurasians. They're a basal group of them. So they go from there, and then it goes from the Asteroid group to to proto-Asteroid group, and then it goes from that proto-Asteroid group to Asteroid group to Paleo-Mongoloids, which gave rise to that semi-Mongoloid look, but they were still slightly dark, to the proto-Mongoloids, I'm sorry, which is the Austronesian speakers who came back down and brought the Austronesian languages, and to the more late recent Mongoloid, which is the Neo-Mongoloid that you find in China and Japan today.
If you were born so-called mulatto and you had a white mother, this child was considered free if their mother was white.
But their mother was white.
And you could have a man as black as Wesley Snipes, and he could have, from his mother's side, who was African American, have a European haplogroup on the mitochondrial side, and also his Y chromosome European, and he could appear to be black, but on both sides, his haplogroups could both mitochondrial and Y chromosome both. This is definitely possible.
Yeah. He was Gates. Both his chromosomes was European. His mama's side and his daddy's side. Somewhere down the line, his great grandmother was a white woman who got caught up with black men until his mama was born. And paternally, he was R1B M269. That matches up with Irish people and British people. So yeah, but autosomally, you can still be predominantly African or black, but through your sex chromosome, you're not.
And if you could just touch one last time on people getting caught up in just phenotypes or whatever, if you want to touch on that.
Life is not about light skin or dark skin. It's no superior skin or gene. Listen, skin tone got their benefits, they got their pros and cons, right? A dark-skinned person, it's harder for him to synthesize vitamin D, so he got to stand outside longer. Fair-skinned people, it's harder for them. I mean, they have to reduce their skin down to a lighter, fairer skin in order to produce the vitamin D properly. So what I'm saying is, it's pros and cons of skin. But let's get into competition and fight and technique. You can't say the black man is superior, the white man is superior, and you got a better technique fighter, and they knocking each other heads off. You got white men who good at fighting, knocking the shit out of black men. And you got black men who good at fighting, just knocking the shit out of white men. So it's about technique and skill. Again, we cannot get caught up in the idolatry of skin tone. And just because you my color don't make you my kind. Hell, the so-called Hebrews and people in Kemet look alike, but they didn't identify with the same thing. There was issues going on amongst them. So we can't get caught up in skin tone to determine who is who and what is what. That's false. That's bullshit. We got one mother, and that's our earth, and it will take care of our bodies and follow the, for the Hebrews out there, follow the charts and the laws of what the Most High told you to eat. And the people that follow Ma'at, live according to it. Stop saying you follow Ma'at, but you're trying to be disruptive to other people, disrespect other people. One of the sayings of Ma'at is, I have not made another person weak. This is not what people do that's good, that's good in heart. That's not what we do. So we can communicate better than what we're doing. So I know that there's a lot of feedback, and a lot of people say, damn, Ngozi, such and such. But no, I'm just being truthful with me. I ain't got no hate for nobody, because you're in tune with your soul. You're in tune with the goodness of humanity, what we supposed to be. And some people are so far damaged and gone from lifestyle and situations, drugs, and all the trauma that went on in their life. They become numb, man. They become numb to society. They become numb to feelings. And then when they get involved with the idea of love, it makes them feel disgusting. Like, I ain't with that weak shit. Get that weak shit up out of here. And we become overly aggressive. But that person is a hurt person. That person is really hurt and really going through something. And they don't know how to express it. But here's the thing, though, King. We can't expect nobody to give us something that they never had, which is love property. Some people were born in horrible situations.
Yeah,
they
you
don't
know
know how to love.
that a lot of this has to do with the diaspora to this land. If you came here on a slave ship, we're dealing with a lot of baggage still from that. And you have families till today that they don't want to hug and show their kids love because that's just a generational thing that they were taught way back on the plantation.
Yeah, and even dealing with Latin America, I see it's a division amongst Black Americans and some Latinos, or Latinos and some Blacks. Black Americans was brought over here as slaves. For those, I'm going to just talk for the people. Some people might think they're indigenous, but I'm talking about the African side, the real of what's really going on. Africans were slapped together, mixed with multiple tribes, and brought over here as slaves. And some of these people never seen their family again. And they had to work for nothing. Some people died on fields trying to work, using us in sex farms and making us reproduce with each other and have babies that we had no relationship with. Creating us numb and numb. The first generation was committing suicide. What did they do? Cut our arms and legs off so we couldn't run. They kept our follicles strong enough so we could be able to reproduce and produce slaves. Watch our mothers get battered and beat. Turn around and gave some of these black men or black women black chromosomes from Europeans by giving them back to babies that they didn't claim. So we had to take that biracial tribe and accept them in our culture. This is why some black men got R1B M269 to this day.
Like Rick Kittles, who's the founder of African Ancestry.
Yeah. So all that trauma that we went through is responsible for how we function, even dealing with Latin America. But a lot of the Spaniards and the Mediterranean Europeans came up here with Christopher Columbus, who was an Italian, working for Queen Isabella. A lot of those people were looking for jobs, they had no work, and the only thing they could do was work for him in order to be free, because they were coming from insane asylums and jails. And some of the Spanish was mixed with black. You had black conquistadors and mixed with Berber. You get they had Berber great-granddaddies that was left behind. So when they come here doing the commandment of Queen Isabella of Columbus, and they execute their native ancestors, and they wiping out their native ancestors. Native Americans went through a fucked up, shit, destructive, harsh situation, man. And people don't know that. Like, some people was down there eradicated through disease and murder. And then some of our native ancestors mixed with the Spanish descendants. And then the Spanish brought slaves over here because the natives was dying, their immune system was weak. So they helped build it. So they put the African slave blend in it, right? And then Spain was so disrespectful because the Spanish wasn't no longer pure European anymore. Mexico, Dominican Republic, different people had to fight against the Spaniards, and the Spaniards couldn't control both borders. They couldn't control Spain and Latin America. So what's what? Latin America started to fight for their independence. So there's a lot of trauma that goes on in Latin America, just like with Black Americans, that we don't know about. Child molestation, based off the stress that they accumulated from the struggle of their development, so they stuck on these islands. So we're all in the same fucking situation, man, as the people.
I think that was a great note to end it on. Again, I appreciate your time, my brother. When this goes up, hopefully we'll be able to facilitate a Q&A at the end of this presentation here.
I hope so, King. I really enjoyed myself. And I want to say peace and love to you, brother. And shalom to my Hebrew brothers out there. My shalom to my Rasta brothers. And salam to my Muslim family. And tepu or ujah to the people that's dealing with Kemet. And peace and love to people that's just people that want to be atheists or whatever. Let's get it in, man, and make this life a better thing, man. And be unified. I'm not saying we got to hold hands with everybody, but there's a problem on the planet that's driven by greed and lust and insanity and wicked men and women, So let's get on the course of what we should be doing as a species that we call human and do the right thing.
I enjoyed it so much because there's not many people I could talk to about DNA and things of that nature, especially within my community. People are very, taboo about genetic research. And they're very pro West Africa, and they shun East Africa for some reason, So I hope this maybe sheds a little light and broadens people's views.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, we can't shun no lamb because human beings are ultimately at their lowest state evil. They're animals. In West Africa, it's not about going back and forth about West and East Africa. It's about righteousness. In West Africa, you have people, Igbos and Yoruba and Tuareg selling each other. In East Africa, you have Oromo Cushitic people kidnapping Bantu tribes and selling them to Arabians because they practice Islam. So it's about righteousness. not about landmines.
Yeah, and you have Bantu people that consider pygmies
And they still,
slaves.
yeah, they still make it in the Congo and in Cameroon. They still make the pygmy people slaves. So we don't want to get caught up in the ideology of human beings because man is a letdown. And all the scriptures warn us about that. Don't get caught up in skin and race and groups because it's not about that. Man is a letdown. You start putting your favor in people that look like you, and they start doing shit to you that you wouldn't expect, and then it hurts you and makes you be like, yeah, I can't believe it's this person doing it. No, you put your faith in man. Man has the cerebral cortex, the most complex cerebral cortex. It can go in any direction because his mind wanders and drifts. You got Africans raping little girls. You got Europeans raping little girls. You got people that say they're like Islam or any other faith raping. You got people that call themselves Israelites doing crazy stuff in the name of whatever they got going on. So we don't want to get caught up in that. Hey, man, I enjoyed this bill, man. I'm about to get it in and work out, man. Peace and love to you, King. And, man, shalom to the family, like I said. And I hope people enjoy it. I know I'm going to get criticized and people are going to attack me today. I don't care. All I'm here to do is tell the truth and love. And if you got issues, we can go back and forth. I had a few new Wahabians that tried to attack me today. You know, people try to find flaws in Ngozi so they can use it against them and throw it at me. You can't throw shit at me because it don't matter to me.
I'll tell you this, Ngozi. I think a lot of people running from you. I think a lot of people scared to sit down and really build with a brother like you. That comes from that science aspect, and you know, and now you bring this spiritual side that people maybe never seen from you. So you know,
hey, I'm here to tell the truth. I never said I was an atheist. You know what I'm saying?
And I'll tell you this, I feel that you ain't scared to build with anybody because look, and you came in and you dealt with me. You ain't run from me. So
yeah, I got love for you, bro. You cool. The Hebrews cool, all of it. You know what I'm saying? We can do it. It's all love, man. And I really enjoyed the field.
All right, my brother. Most I bless and keep you. Shalom.
Shalom, bro. Peace, King.
All right, brothers and sisters. All right. Hold on, let me undo my camera so y'all can see me. All right, man. So that was Gedalia from How Music, and he was interviewing Ngozi. I had always seen Ngozi. I didn't really know too much about what his doctrine was. I kind of was seeing him on Soneta's channel, and I had no idea that he actually believed in the Most High. Not quite the way a lot of us as Israelites, the way that we believe in the Most High, the way we break the scriptures down, the way we understand how you trace your lineage, et cetera, not in that way. But I didn't know that the brother actually believed in the Most High. I thought he was an atheist because a lot of those guys on the Amara squad and a lot of those guys on, Soneta's platform that, that are not Israelites or, most of them are atheists. They don't believe in the Most High. So, the brother wanted to actually, he wants to come on Israelite platforms and answer questions. This whole thing about DNA now, brothers and sisters, as much as we as Israelites, we don't necessarily deal with the whole DNA thing. There's a big thing about DNA nowadays. It's a big thing. And so a lot of brothers and sisters, for the most part, you're not really versed in that. So if you have questions about it, then that's a good brother to ask. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the brother come on live. I'm not sure what day. We were supposed to do it today, but as you brothers and sisters know what today is, and I had the technical difficulties, so I'm not going to bring him on today. But we're going to set up a whole bunch of questions, and we're going to ask Brother Ngozi those questions live. I'm going to take phone calls. And maybe if you saw something in this video that you have questions about, then you can ask those questions as well. Shout out to Rob Bourne. I see you in the building, bro. Man, you got up the other night and just walked out, man. You was mad as hell, man, but we'll talk about that. I saw the captain was in the building a little while ago. Shout out to Captain Tazariak as well. I see my brother Malik in the comments as well. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have a conversation about that. Now, there's different types of DNA tests too, just so brothers and sisters know, right? You have your Y DNA test, right, which is the paternal line. You have your MT DNA test, which is your mitochondrial DNA test, and then you have another one. I believe it's the autosomal DNA test. They have different types. So it's not all the same type of DNA test. It depends on what you're looking to find out, right? So we'll definitely talk about those things. Yeah, that's pretty much it, family. I'm not gonna take any phone calls today, man. Y'all brothers and sisters, enjoy the rest of y'all day. Go ahead and watch the game. I know a lot of y'all want to watch. Yeah, Rob Bourne, I know, man. I know. I know. I saw it definitely, man. It's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be an interesting day, man. It got real interesting after you left too. Real interesting. Yeah, we cut the cameras off. Interesting. I'll say that. I'm sure you heard already. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna see what day I can get the brother from How Music and Ngozi on. Shout out to Ngozi. Thanks for coming on the platform. I appreciate it, man. You know, it's our first time. So we're definitely gonna have you back because I want to ask you some questions myself. And I want to allow the audience to ask you some questions because this is a big thing, right? This is a huge thing in the community. And I know a lot of brothers and sisters, you're not really educated on what that is. And there are some good points out there, you know, like for instance, some of us will say that you don't, you know what I'm saying, we don't deal with DNA to trace our nationality, but we'll trust the same DNA lab. If you want to know if a woman stepped out on you and had a child, you want to know if that child is yours, you'll trust it then. And if somebody lock you up and say that and they go to the crime scene and they find some DNA there, you definitely want them to test it there to show that you wasn't there. So, I mean, there is some use to DNA testing, right? We don't believe that necessarily tells you who you are for a lot of reasons, which I'll get into it in Ngozi when I have them on. All right. So with that being said, this is your brother Priest Dan, Lions of Israel, Maccabees Alliance Council. Thanks everybody for watching. Most High bless everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night. And I am out of here. Shalom.